Happy Wednesday, everybody. This is Q and A session number 2 with Kurt Weidner, Team Animal. As you can see, we have Sadie, Zegan, and Kreider here joining us today, and perhaps they're going to have some input on the subject matter, or maybe they're just here to absorb some information, or most likely they're just going to take a nap. Anyway, let's proceed. Okay, so the first set of questions here is from Wes. Question number 1. Thoughts on optimal training programs. I see a lot of posts on daily undulating periodization programs that Lane Norton and others use, squatting up to 3 times per week. What, in your opinion, is best for strength, hypertrophy for all muscle groups? I was just using squats as an example. How do you balance volume, frequency, and intensity for your programs? I feel like there's sometimes too much thought going on into all these programs, percentage on lifts, back offsets, RPE scales, etc. Do you think it's better to have some sort of structure but just go with an animal and bust your ass mentality and push limits every workout? Alright, this is an excellent question. Well, let's start with the idea of daily undulating periodization. First of all, for those of you who aren't familiar with the term, the individual who is most noted for daily undulating periodization would be Dr. Mike Zordo. So if you're interested in gaining more insight and information on the subject, I would encourage you to look him up and some of the things that he has to say on the matter. I know that he's gained quite a bit of attention in recent times. I also know some very elite level bodybuilders who have actually followed Mike Zordos's programs and swear by them. So obviously there's something to it. As far as my approach, essentially what I do and what I'm employing with my own workout programs, if you look at my split, if you follow my workout blogs, is a form of daily undulating periodization. Okay. DUP is basically means, in short, this is a very short summarization, but you're having constant variation in both your intensity levels and volume in your training. So rather than following an entire block of higher reps or lower reps, lower higher intensity, you're actually mixing rep schemes, intensity, and volume on a daily and weekly basis. Okay, and essentially that's what I have been doing for a while. The only difference is that I do this on more an instinctual basis, where I don't overplan things day to day, week to week, but there is still constant variation in rep schemes and intensity levels. And I don't use percentages to determine my lifts. And I have a reason for that, which I'll get to in a minute. So what you have to understand is there's a lot of different ways to incorporate the DUP principle. I'm sure that, Mike has his own approach to doing that and the way he writes his programs, but you can apply that principle and actually have a different overall approach, even though the goal is the same. I don't like using percentages as a way to determine lifts, and there's a couple reasons for that. Okay, first of all, I've been training for well over 20 years. I'm 38 and a half years old, and for over 2 decades, been pushing it pretty hard in the gym, and I have at times have issues with whether it's a shoulder or lower back or this or that. It's hard to predict how my body's going to feel going into the gym, so I can come up with a general plan for a day, but I have to always be ready to modify that plan. If I'm going in to do something like dips, for instance, and my left shoulder is not feeling real good, then maybe I end up going with just body weight or lighter weighted dips and stay away from the heavy stuff. Whereas, today, actually, my shoulder was feeling really good, and I went up to multiple sets with weighted dips with 135 pounds. I can't really predict how things are going to feel. Same thing on something like squats. How my lower back feels is going to dictate to a large degree what I'm capable of doing that day. So if I have a heavy workout planned, and I go in and my lower back's not really feeling the heavier weight, then I have to modify my plan and adjust accordingly. So I don't like having something that's too set in stone as far as this is what you have to do. You're supposed to work at this percentage, of your 1 rep max today, because some days that might work and some days that might not. For a 25-year-old lifter who's only been lifting for a few years and doesn't have any pathology, it might be a different story. The other issue, from my perspective, is that, when you use percentages to calculate lifts, it's not always completely accurate, and this is something that I've run into before, in that how your muscles are conditioned can dictate, where you're more efficient in what rep range and what intensity levels. I've been doing pretty high volume and a lot of reps for a lot of years. So my muscles have great endurance, which also goes even prior to my bodybuilding days, the way I used to train for hockey and soccer and lacrosse. The issue is that if you used, what I could do on a 10 or 12 rep max to calculate my max, it would way overstate my 1 rep max. Because I might put 50 pounds more on the bar and squat and, not be able to do 1 or only get 1 or 2. Likewise, if you had me do a 1 rep max, which I just don't do 1 rep maxes, I typically don't ever drop below 5 reps because I'm just not interested in putting that level of stress on certain joints and exposing myself to injury. But if I were to actually perform a 1 rep max or anywhere close to it, and then you try to use that number to determine what the appropriate weight would be for a 10 rep weight, then the chances are that would also be inaccurate, but in a different direction, in that I could probably perform a lot more reps than what that number that you calculate gives you. So for that reason, I don't like to, use percentages. As far as the squatting 3 times per week, this is something that, I've heard a lot of people talk about. Again, somebody I know pretty well has employed this program and was able to significantly increase, their squat strength doing such. This is not something that I myself have employed, but, I am a firm believer in squatting at least twice a week. And part of that is based on the same principle of varying your intensity levels within a week. All right, so, I'll have a squat workout that's geared more towards power and strength, and a squat workout that might be geared more towards hypertrophy. And then sometimes I also actually mix them within the same workout, where there's numerous sets that are geared towards power, and then later sets that are geared towards hypertrophy. To give you an example of this, yesterday I did squats, and actually, even though I just said I usually don't go below 5 reps, I actually did a lot of my initial sets in a 3 rep range. So after my warm sets, I did 365 for 3, I did 405 for 3, 425 for 3, 445 for 3, did 455 for 2. I didn't really want to push it because I haven't put that weight on the bar in quite a while. So those are all my power sets, and then I went back to 365 and did a rep out set where I did 15 reps, then went down to 315 and did a set of 20. So within that within one workout, there is a very drastic variance in intensity level. So you're essentially training the muscles on different ends of the anaerobic spectrum. So like I said, I don't have experience with squatting 3 times per week, but I definitely am a firm believer in squatting at least twice per week, and I strongly recommend having variance in your programs, especially with your compound movements. Your pressing movements, deadlifts, squats, things like dips. You need to have some variance. If you always lift in the same intensity level, same intensity being defined as a percentage of your 1 rep max, which basically translates to similar rep schemes. If you're always training in a 6 to 8 range or a 10 to 12 range or 3 to 5 range, you're going to become good at that one area. However, you're eventually going to plateau, and without shifting outside of that intensity level, you're unlikely to get better. When you train at different intensity levels with the same movement, they will complement each other. So for instance, by incorporating higher intensity levels, meaning heavier weight, lower rep, it'll then translate to later being able to do your hypertrophy sets, your sets in the 8 to 12 range or higher with more weight, and that's what's going to translate into more muscle growth. So when I do heavier sets, something like squats or deads, it's then enabling me to elevate the weights that I use for my hypertrophy sets, and that's, I think, one of the important principles behind the DUP. But again, I don't claim to be an expert on DUP. I would encourage you to research your own, and especially look up, Dr. Mike Zordos, because he's certainly the expert in that field. So as far as your other part of the question with back off sets and RPE scales, etc. I've always preferred to take a more instinctual approach to training, and I will often write up something the day of my workout, and as far as what I want to do, so that I don't have to think about it when I get into the gym. But I don't like things planned out for numerous weeks where there's something set in stone that I'm supposed to go in and do, on a given day. I mean, I have my basic structure that says what body parts, exercise groupings I do in a particular day, but as far as the specifics, I kind of decide that day to day, week to week. And included with that, back off weeks or deloads. I don't enjoy doing deload weeks. I don't really plan it in. However, there are days or weeks when you can tell that your body may, not be as well recovered as you need to, and so you need to adjust and reduce the intensity and plan accordingly so that you're not running yourself into the ground. Some people are better at doing this than others, as far as using their instincts to and listening to their body. And then there are others who really need a plan that's set in stone, that tells them this week you have to back off, or this week you need to go with further higher intensity, etc., or this day, whatever. Ultimately, you got to figure out what works best for you. Okay, I mean, I've been training for a long time, and I've tried a lot of different things. I design all my own programs. I know my body very well. I know the limitations. For instance, on a lot of movements involving the shoulder, like chest presses, it is not an option for me to go with too heavy a weight because my shoulder doesn't like it, so I have to modify accordingly. Again, that's another reason I don't like using percentages on something like that. But you have to figure out what works best for you, and the rule that I always go by is if it works, don't fix it. So if you are responding well to what you're doing, meaning that your strength's going up, your lean mass is going up, then don't change it. But if you're noticing that you're going to the gym and you're not recovering as well, if your numbers are stagnating or even perhaps going down, you feel tired, then you need to look into it and either modify your plan or come up with a better plan that's going to work. Um, so yeah. All right. Second question here is: in your opinion, is soreness a good indicator of muscle growth and progress? Soreness is one indicator, but I don't necessarily think it's an indicator by itself of muscle growth and progress. It's interesting. I find that soreness can be fairly unpredictable. I've had workouts where, I've some of the best workouts. They're just phenomenal. Like where I just absolutely blasted an area like legs. I might have done a 2-hour workout. All the numbers were great, maybe set PRs, whatever. And then I end up not getting as sore as I expected to get. And then I've had days where I went in and felt like I needed to do more of a back off day, stuff was sore or whatever. And so I focused more on just the movements, motor patterns, and maybe getting some volume in, and maybe didn't feel like it was my greatest workout, but I ended up getting extremely sore. So I think it's very hard to predict. In general, it's my experience that workouts that are higher in volume, total volume, more reps involved, tend to leave me more sore than going really heavy on weight. The best example I can give of that is occasionally my partner and I will, we'll pick an exercise and do 100 reps. So I've done 100 reps in squats with 315, and I can tell you that left me pretty damn sore. Probably more sore than anything else. So in my experience, volume leaves me more sore than just intensity, meaning higher weight. But like I said, I think it's important to mix them both. So I don't think you can use that as an indicator in and of itself for muscle growth or progress, because they're both necessary. So, third question of yours is: love your animal mentality, really admire it, but how have you balanced family, friends, and girlfriend, wife over years? I feel like I live the life very consistently. Do I need to find a companion with similar lifestyle? I feel like the bodybuilding lifestyle can be lonely at times, but I still continue to push day in, day out. What do you feel makes you happy outside of the gym? This is an excellent question. One of the most important things, if you decide to take on a bodybuilding lifestyle, it's very different from what most people understand or what most people do. And essentially, it's a job, because it's not just about what you do in the gym, it's about what you do outside of the gym. You have to constantly be aware of, what you're eating, what you're putting in your body, getting enough rest, being mentally prepared for the gym. But like any other job, you have to leave work at some point. Okay, and one of the things that I think some of the younger population that's involved with bodybuilding is they have a tough time shutting it off. And this is when it tends to interfere with life outside the gym, personal relationships, family, relationships with a significant other. You do what you got to do to make progress as a competitor, working hard, prepping your meals, getting your nutrition in, getting your supplements in, etc. But when you're done with that and you come home, you got to be able to shut it off, and you have to have life outside of bodybuilding. So, I think it's important to have things in your life that have absolutely nothing to do with competing or bodybuilding or training. And think about it from a different perspective. If you had a friend who is, let's say, a computer software engineer, and all they ever wanted to talk about, when you're around is software programming, well, it would probably become somewhat unenjoyable to hang out with them, because maybe you don't know anything about software programming, and so you get to a point where you just wouldn't want to hang out with them anymore. Well, it's probably the same thing for people who don't understand bodybuilding. If you're a bodybuilder and all you ever want to talk or think about is bodybuilding, then other people are going to be like, well, I don't really want to hang out with that person anymore because they're not very fun. I don't really know what they're talking about. I don't really care. It's not interesting to me. So, what you end up doing if you take that approach is you isolate yourself. So bottom line is I think, you need to be able to turn that stuff off. And I mean, personally, I try to avoid talking about bodybuilding, nutrition, supplements, and all that outside of when I have to. So obviously, when I work, I'm a personal trainer and a nutritional consultant, contest prep coach. It's part of what I do. It's what I address and talk about with clients. But when it comes to family, significant other, everyday life, whether you're in the grocery store or wherever, you got to shut that off. And I almost try to avoid it if I can. Obviously it's brought up and somebody asked me a specific question. I'm happy to answer it, but I try to make my life outside of the gym about other things. And so another thing that, on this is that it's important to have aspects of your life that have nothing to do with bodybuilding. So for instance, I'm into landscaping. If you've seen my videos, I have 3 dogs. I love animals. I love the outdoors. I like to hike. I have other hobbies that I'm involved with. So get yourself involved with some other things so that when that part of the day that you allocate towards what you need to do for bodybuilding is over, you can go enjoy other things and turn it off. Because what you'll find is that you won't burn yourself out mentally. You'll actually, when you go back for your next workout or whatever it be, you're more mentally focused and mentally ready than if you try to keep that aspect of your life turned on 24/7. It's not healthy. People around you won't enjoy you, and you get to the point where you don't enjoy yourself and you don't enjoy life. So you got to have balance. Let's see. One of your last questions here is, do you cycle pre-workout supplements or caffeine use? Yes. It is important. If you bottom line, you can't just continually use stimulants that affect your central nervous system because you will basically desensitize yourself to them to the point where you need stimulants to achieve a normal level of energy. One of the important recommendations that I make as a prep coach is like leading into a season. Let's say that you're going to prep for a show for 20 weeks. In that 4 to 5 weeks prior to your prep, you should really use stimulants as little as possible, or maybe not at all, so that at the very beginning you're highly sensitive to them, and it becomes like an extra gear that you can pull for. As you move forward in prep and you get later and you have to start restricting calories more and more, you always want another gear to pull for. And having the ability to use stimulants to increase your energy when you're restricting your energy substrates from carbohydrates and fat becomes important. But if you burn yourself out overusing them in the off season leading into your prep, and then you go to use them and they don't do anything, well then you're kind of screwed. So yeah, I think it's very important to supplement your caffeine use and any supplement, well really all supplements, but supplements specifically that are going to affect your central nervous system. Okay, so those are all the questions from Wes. And then I had another question from somebody in the gym regarding supplements. And see, this is Jordan, and he was interested in knowing more about the core nutritional supplements that we're carrying at the weight club. You probably already know that I'm a big advocate of core supplements. I'm also a brand rep for core. So really simple. I'm going to cover some of the basics here as far as what to use. We'll start with Core ABC, which is a branched chain amino acid supplement. Also has citrulline malate and beta-alanine. This supplement would be used prior to and during workout. It's an intra-workout supplement, different from some but not all other branched chain amino acid supplements. This has the inclusion of beta-alanine, pretty good serving of 2.5 grams. So beta-alanine, generally speaking, you want about 4 to 6 grams in divided doses. What I generally do is get a pretty decent serving an hour before of beta-alanine with another few grams during the workout. So with this alone, you can cover that aspect of your supplementation. It also obviously covers your branch chains before and during. So this would be a great supplement to use before and during your workout. One of the advantages of the ABC versus many of the other BCA supplements on the market is that there is no artificial coloring. That's a direction that Core has gone with their product line, and that's something I think is really important. There's a lot of options you have with this line of products. I would encourage you to go on the Core Nutritionals website and check out their product line. Core has a commodity line where if you are interested in getting the individual supplements by themselves and then creating your own stacks, you have the ability to do that. You can also add them to some of the existing products. So for instance, branched chain amino acids, there is a branched chain amino acid powder. They also have straight beta-alanine. They have taurine, they have glutamine, they have creatine monohydrate, augmentine sulfate. So as far as creating your own pre-workout supplement or adding things to an existing pre-workout or existing intra-workout, you have the ability to do that. But real simple, 30 to 60 minutes before your workout and then another serving during your workout would be very ideal of the Core ABC. I know one of the other things you'd asked about was protein powder. So for protein, there's a few options with Core. Core Pro is a protein blend. It's a whey, egg, casein blend that also has digestive enzymes in it. This is just a great universal protein to use. How I use this is, if I'm out and about and I need a simple quick meal, what I'll usually do is mix this with a carbohydrate. I'll just mix it with oats, and then I might have a fat source like almonds or peanut butter with me. So for instance, I aside from what I do in the gym, I also do lawn mowing once a week. So if I'm out working outside for hours at a time, I'll put 2 scoops of Core Pro in a shaker bottle with a cup of oats, and then I have peanut butter with me, and it's just a quick way to get a meal. I mix water in, shake it up, suck it down, take a scoop of peanut butter in and get back to work because I don't have time to eat a whole food meal. One of the other options, and I don't have it with me right now, but one of the other options for somebody that needs a quick, balanced meal on the go, Core Nutritionals makes another product called Core MRP. It's a meal replacement powder. The carbohydrate source is barley and oats. The protein blend is basically going to be very similar to Core Pro. So the difference is the Core Pro doesn't have carbohydrates in it. The Core MRP is going to have a 1-to-1 ratio of carbohydrates to protein. Either one would be a great option. Like I said, I always use this before bed, and sometimes even I keep a shake on my nightstand, so if I wake up during the middle of the night, I'll have 2 scoops of Core Pro as well. The other protein supplement they make is Core PWO, which is specifically a post-workout recovery supplement. Core PWO has a 3-to-2 carbohydrate to protein ratio. It also has additional branched chain amino acids in it. This is, in my opinion, the most ideal supplement to take post-workout. I take 3 scoops of it. A serving, which is based on the nutritional panel here, a serving is 2 scoops, and that has 28 grams of protein and 43 grams of carbs. At 212 pounds, I use 3 scoops post-workout, so you're looking around 42 grams of protein and around 65 grams of carbs. But that, rather than trying to combine different things to make the ideal post-workout, you got it right there. So this is what I would recommend for immediately after your workout. Just have a shaker bottle, put however many scoops in there you need, add water, you're good to go. You don't need to have anything else. And then for any other point during the day, you either got Core Pro or you got Core MRP. The other thing that I add